Ashmolean Museum, Oxford, England. Now this is one text known to have inspired one tale of the Bible, which is the flood story. I will just show you the description so you know it doesn't come from me. This is the Sumerian king list, baked clay prism, written about 1800 BC, Lhasa, Iraq. So I will go straight to the side where they're talking about the actual flood story. You probably heard about Gilgamesh, the divine Gilgamesh. So this second side of the Sumerian king list mentions Gilgamesh, hero king of epic literature and legendary ruler of Uruk. The list combines all the versions into what appears to be a continuous genealogical sequence of rulers, although some kings ruled at the same time. Facts and fantasy are blended, particularly in earlier sections mentioning mythical rulers reigning for thousands of years. There is also a female king, an innkeeper called Kubao. There are parallels between genealogies in the Bible, Genesis chapters 5 and 11, and the Sumerian king list. Now, it's very dark, but I will read it for you. The flood swept over. After the flood swept over, when kingship had come down from heaven, kingship was at Kish. This is the first side of the Sumerian king list. Written in around 1800 BC, it mentions a legendary flood in Mesopotamia. Multiple or single flood events in prehistory may have inspired this history, in turn inspiring the biblical flood story in the book of Genesis. In southern Mesopotamia, rivers can burst their banks and flood the countryside. Flood deposits are known at several archaeological sites. The Sumerian flood story symbolized the destructive power of supernatural beings. It was a literary motif separating distant times from the present when the story was written. Who was a king? Who was king? Who was not king? Here you have a map of southern Mesopotamia. Now, the Sumerian king list is not history as we will understand it. Parts relating to the earlier kings are largely mythological, although the last 500 years is more accurate. It is also a work of propaganda designed to show that the current kings of Lhasa were descended from heroes and demigods of ancient times. Written when local city-states struggled against each other for supremacy, the scribe perhaps intending to show that southern Mesopotamia was always united under a single ruler. There were also times of instability and anarchy such as decline of the Akkad dynasty around 2150 BC, aptly put by the words "who was king, who was not king" written on this, the prism's fourth side. They even wrote it themselves. The Sumerian king list. The Sumerian king list is a clay prism inscribed in cuneiform script. It lists rulers of southern Iraq from the creation of kingship in a mythical past to the time it was written in around 1800 BC. A wooden spindle originally went through the prism center, perhaps so it could be rotated and read on all four sides. Other fragmentary copies of the list exist, but this is the best preserved example known. The prism is written in Sumerian, spoken in southern Iraq between 3000 to 2000 BC. By the time the prism was written, the common spoken language was Akkadian, which superseded Sumerian from 3300 to 2000 BC. Scholars and scribes continued to write in Sumerian and other languages for the next 2000 years. That was the Ashmolean Museum, Oxford, England.